are rolling. I love saying that at the beginning. I don't know if it makes me feel like I'm on a film set again or something. But welcome back. Welcome back to Losing the Plot with Ashley. I feel like every week I'm like, oh, it's been a week. But every week I'm kind of like, what is the new thing? And I feel like so much this past week has gone on. I mean, we've had the arrest of Prince Andrew. I mean, talk about good news, actually. A few things, dodgy things going on at the BAFTAs. I mean, do you ever get it when it's one of those weeks where you just think, sure, what else can go wrong this week? And I really, really, really have been trying to be like, rejection is redirection. Rejection is redirection. But, in the moment, it's so hard to really think like that. I had like 3 rejections in one day. And I was trying my best to be like, rejection's just redirection, like through my tears. And honestly, one of them I didn't even want that much. But I was just like, it was a job I kind of felt like I needed to do or whatever. So when you're rejected from a job you don't even want, like that hurts even more. But, we rise, we go on. I feel like in my last solo episode, I spoke about trying to do things to get out of my comfort zone. And I've been thinking of starting a new series on YouTube, like still under the podcast, but like a side series of doing 30 things before I'm 30. Because I'm really trying to, I don't know. I feel like the older I get, I don't want to say the less brave I get, but the more aware of consequences and my surroundings I get. So this week I did something, not a part of the 30, before 30, but just something that was out of my comfort zone. And I went to a dance class. It was like, and I'm laughing to myself because I'm just like reliving the memories of this dance class. And had the worst day. And I remember but I'd already booked it, right? I'd already paid for it. So I had to go. And I went by myself, and it was, one of those like commercial dances where they like post the video on TikTok before. So through tears, before I went, because I had been crying before I left, because like I said, I've just been having a bad week. I'm like trying to rehearse and practice this dance, which is so hard on your phone. But I go to this dance class, and listen, if you want to be humbled, go to your first dance class. Because I do have like a slight dance-ish background. I think I spoke on the podcast about this before, where, as like a child into teenager, I did like musical theater and jazz. But like, I want to double down by saying I'm no means a dancer. I am not a dancer. And it said it was like for beginners, beginners up to like medium intermediate, I think. But like they really double down online, like it's for beginners. And I don't know who's beginning like this, but that dance class, I do not believe is for beginners. I feel like it's beginners who have begun to stop dancing professionally, is what I feel like it's for. Because honestly, and I don't know if it's like my brain elasticity has just like, it's less elastic. Do you want your brain to be elastic? I don't know. But like, the neuroplasticity, and it gets worse the older you get, and you remember less, and you're kind of slower to pick up new things and things like that. And I don't know if that was going on. Also, I guess I am dyspraxic, so a coordination thing, it's not always my strongest suit, but I'm determined and I have rhythm. So, we're learning this dance and we're doing it very slowly, and it's taking, a while to get into it. And then it gets to putting on the music, and I'm like, okay, I've got this. And I'm so small, I'm 4'9". I can't really see myself in the mirror because there's so many other people in front of me and around me. I didn't want to be at the front. I kind of just wanted to hide somewhere in the middle. So I haven't seen myself in the mirror at all. I didn't realize how much I was relying on the person in front of me to know this dance. Anyway, they put us into groups. So the crowd has been thinned. I'm like, I can no longer hide between these people. And they put the music on and we're doing it like, complete speed. All I can say is what is happening in the mirror versus what was happening up here, night and day. In here, every move is being hit perfectly, you know? I'm missing a few little bits here and there, but every move is still being executed to a certain level. In the mirror, I could not. So I was like, no, that is not how I dance. Like, I don't know if there's such thing as dance dysmorphia where you feel like you're a better dancer than you are. I'm going to coin the term. I definitely have dance dysmorphia where I feel like I'm a better dancer than I am because wow, it was it was different and I have so much respect and adoration for dancers because the way they will contort, they are athletes, they will contort their body and work to a insane degree for sometimes just a few minute performance. So shout out to them. I did something new. I'm proud of myself for going by myself. I made some friends and I am going to continue to show up for myself and doing things even if they scare me. It also was honestly very nostalgic for me because I don't know if you remember like back in the day, I want to say like 2010s, like there were so many like dance movies, you had like Step Up, we had street dance. Oh my goodness, street dance was my jam. I used to reenact those dances religiously. And there are times I just think, oh, I would love for them to start remaking these types of movies again. But I think with any type of nostalgia, it's not necessarily ever going to be the same, you know? So I guess maybe it would be good if I could go back to 2010s and just relive it for a tiny bit in simpler times. But like I would go back, I'd have end ups on my iPod. I mean, I don't know if they're anyone who's not from the UK. I don't know if end ups made it, worldwide, nationally. I hope they did. But honestly, like that ha ha, like na na na, that would take me that it just takes me back to that time. And there are moments I just wish I could go back to there. But anyway, I digress. I'm doing more out of my comfort zone. So keep an eye on my YouTube. I'm gonna do a series of things. There's so many things that I have fears of that I would like to conquer, including heights, water sports. Love water sports. They do not love me, even though I grew up by the beach. So I'm honestly just over the next kind of year going to be recording myself doing a bunch of things. It's probably going to be very entertaining for everyone but me. But yeah, I kind of just want to prove to myself that I can do it. And honestly, when I was younger, I feel like I would always do things that were out of my comfort zone. Like honestly, the first story that comes to mind is, and I don't know why I'm showing this because I think it is actually maybe an embarrassing story, but I've started now anyway. So back to my dance background. I went to this dance school, or like it was a performing arts school, and we did a flash mob to open up. I think they built this new square in this village. So they'd asked the dance school to do like this big flash mob. And like, I want to say I was this cute, like 9, 10-year-old doing it. I was not. I was maybe 15, 14, 15, 16. Like I was older, I was at an age where I would be aware of things being maybe embarrassing or not. But like, I wasn't embarrassed apparently. Um, and like I had my little jazz pumps and this whole flash mob unearthed. And I remember I think there was like a few different medley songs, I think Will Smith was in there. And I danced to my heart's content. I hope there is no footage of this because I just know. I don't think it's embarrassing for anyone else, but I think if you know my dance background and how I would have moved back then, I don't think I've necessarily got any better. If anything, worse. So I do dread to think what it was like back then. So I kind of honestly just want to tap back into my 13, 14-year-old self and that type of fearlessness of not caring to the point that I will do a flash mob. So if anyone can take anything away, have that confidence up here and up here. But anyway, moving on, I I just wanted to have like a very honest conversation about being chronically online. I think I've spoken about this in my last solo episode a little bit, and I have had an epiphany that I have a problem with social media. And like, this is not a new thing. I'm aware like loads of people have, I don't want to say an addiction, but definitely a problem with social media. And I didn't think I was that bad. I knew I, spent a lot of time online and obviously with the podcast and with looking for certain job opportunities and connecting and sending memes. Like there's loads of reasons why I'm online. But it's got to a point now where I no longer think, oh, I want to go check what so and so's doing, or I want to go check this job, or I need to post this thing on, for the podcast. I pick up my phone and will be scrolling or doing whatever online for like 15, 20 minutes before I've even been conscious that I'm on it. And it's freaked me out because that can't be good. And honestly, like I thought I think there was a documentary that came out about social media and how they're building these algorithms for people to be addicted to them. And at the time, I thought, like, oh, my poor sister, like my poor brother, like they're going to get got, you know? And I feel bad for the younger generation and it's going to, ruin their lives, how much they're online, da da da. And then I don't know, like, I guess slowly and surely, I'm also someone that is starting to lose control over myself in regards to technology. And I don't know, it just really freaked me out because I just started to really see a dip in my moods in the morning and I was feeling more cloudy and I was like, what is going on? And I realized like within the first half an hour, probably within the first 15 minutes, I'm on my phone and I'm checking what's going on. I'm like keeping myself up to date. I'm planning my day, but I'm like being hit with all of this information at once. And I don't think that's how I used to plan my day. I don't think that's how I used to structure my day. Um, so I've been trying to be very, very strict with myself now. I've been doing like, okay, I don't want to say a 75 hard. I would say it's a more 15 soft max, really, where I'm trying for the first thing I do in the morning is read for at least 15 minutes and just not touch my phone unless it's just snoozing my alarm for like the 15th time. And I'm trying to move my body more. I'm trying to avoid being on my phone. Obviously it's hard because especially if you have a job which requires you to be on your phone, it's hard to, separate doing the work and being, online for other reasons. But I've been trying. I've been really trying. But while I was in my TikTok, I don't want to say spiral, but you go down a TikTok rabbit hole. I was going down a TikTok rabbit hole and I came across this video that really like struck to me, and it was basically saying that between the ages of, I think it was 26 and 29, is your like really insecure years. And when I was first listening to this video, I was like, oh no, my insecure years were between the ages of like 14 and 24, like sorry, that's a lot of years, but it's true. I felt like I really started to know myself after 24, 25, 26. But then I started to listen to the explanation and it honestly really made sense. So I thought I would share it on here and see if it resonates with anyone else. And it basically was explaining that after 25, once your frontal cortex has kind of developed and you start asking yourself the real questions, like, and you start to know yourself, you're really trusting, hopefully, your internal dialogue after kind of 25, 26. I think it's the first time that you are away from an institution, whether that is school, whether that's college, university, your first job, whether you've moved out from home. Like, I feel like 25, 26 is the first time that you are fully separate from these kind of set in place ideals and you're able to really just think independently for yourself, and you've started to at this point start a career in something. And I don't know, the video was really just going into how you between the ages of 26, 29, look back and a lot of the time are like, what am I doing? What's my purpose? Do I even like what I'm doing right now? And I think probably more so people of my generation, more than maybe older generations, because I feel like we don't stay at jobs for as long and we are so exposed to so many different possibilities of what our life could look like from seeing other people's lives online, which is a really good thing and a really bad thing on, on two different notes. On one hand, it's incredible because there are things we want for ourselves that we never would have known we would have wanted, because we never would have even known it would be a possibility to have this specific job. As an example, like, there's a travel content creator. Without social media, I would never in a million years think that was a job that people get paid to go on holiday and like write about their experiences. But on the other hand, you then have a complete overwhelming feeling of there's so much I could be doing, and I'm doing none of that, and I'm not sure if what I am doing right now is what I actually want to be doing. And this video is basically just saying, like, it's very normal for you to get to, 28, 29, and be freaking out that you're not sure if the life that you've built so far is actually what you want. And I was like, okay, this makes me feel a lot better, because I've definitely had feelings, and more so, I think, being 29 coming into 30, where I'm like, I feel like I've achieved so much, but at the same time, I feel like I've achieved nothing. And I think, honestly, it really makes me, and I'm sure there's other people who work in as creative freelancers, or who work, who don't necessarily work a 9 to 5 job. And I think it's the same for people who also work 9 to 5 too, don't get me wrong. But I think especially when you're a freelance and freelance creator, you can go from a banquet where you have full-time employment, you're feeling really good, you're, in the spaces you've always wanted to be in, and you're literally like, wow, I'm at a banquet, like I'm actually doing the thing. And then that job ends, and then suddenly either there's no other work, or you're not sure what your next steps are, and you could be struggling again. And that's where I like to say I'm in my meal deal era. So I will go from a buffet to a meal deal, and barely getting together a meal deal. I'm not sure if I'm actually loving this analogy, but let me see if it lands. So I think, like, working in creative industry, you can go from a buffet to a meal deal so quickly. And when you are in a job that is offering you a buffet of all these different variety of experiences, financial stability, etc., you try save it all up and, get all your contacts, or save up money so that when you are in a situation where you are having to just do a meal deal, you have some leftover inspiration or leftover funds to be able to sustain yourself. And I think posting online, I don't know if it's always as transparent or honest, that even though someone's life might look like they have it together, or it's easy, or they're doing all these great things, like 9 times out of 10, even the people you think huge actors or musicians, or sportsmen, people that you admire, that you think have these millions and millions of pounds, like a lot of the time, a lot of these people don't have as much as you think they do, and they're having to hustle just as much, and I don't want to say just as much as everybody else, but I think as soon as you have a public platform, people don't want to give you any grace or time, and they think, well, you have all these opportunities, but you have no idea what is going on behind the scenes. And I think I would love to be a little bit more honest about the ups and the downs of being a creative. And there's so many ups, don't get me wrong. I've had some incredible experiences in my time, but it can be really hard. And there are times that I have such bad imposter syndrome. And I was having one of those moments actually the other day, and I was just like, am I even good enough to be doing X, Y, and Z? And I mean, I'm a very confident person, I'd say, by nature. I've been like it since I was a kid, very outspoken, very confident. But I would say I definitely have moments where I doubt myself, I doubt my abilities, and everyone has to do something for the first time. And when you're first in these new spaces and you're doing that thing for the first time, it's so easy to have imposter syndrome, even if you've worked so hard and you've put in, you've studied, or you've researched, or that you have all the transferable skills to absolutely smash a role. you can still feel like you don't necessarily belong 'cause you haven't had enough, acclamations or awards or credits, or, you're a writer, but you've never been credited as a writer, but you feel like, so it's so easy to doubt your abilities. But I was having one of those moments where I was just like really just feeling down on myself and down on my abilities. And then I get this message from a friend I actually went to nursery with. So we've known each other since we are like 3 or 4 years old. We've not spoken in a really long time, not seen each other in maybe over 10 years at this point. And she just messaged saying, like, really loving the podcast, Ashley. Like, I'm so impressed. Like, this is so great. And it just completely came out of the blue. And I didn't know that she was listening to every episode and was in it in that way. And the way such a small comment and kindness completely just like kept me going that day. I was like, wow, I think people do need to be more honest. And if you think someone's doing a good job, tell them. And I'm going to give you a shout out. Shout out to Judah, because you really made my day. But yeah, that is just to say, if you're doubting yourself, if you've got imposter syndrome, it's normal. If you're freaking out in your late 20s, in your late 30s, in your late 50s, in your late 60s or 70s, like, it's never too late to reinvent yourself. I think as humans, we're meant to freak out every few years, every 5 to 10 years, because I think that's the only way we grow. I'm gonna move on because I've been talking about that for way too long. Okay, so it's been a week of Bridgerton being out, and I have been locked in. I binge watched the last, I think, 3 or 4 episodes, and wow. I don't think there's anything that can make me hate Bridgerton. Love it or hate it, I love it because I just love the yearning. I mean, this season might be controversial. I don't know if other people, who people's favorite is, but Benedict has and will always be my favorite brother because, one, love a bisexual man. Two, he's artsy, he's fun, I feel like is the most open. So I was very excited about his season, and this season did not disappoint. Loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. But like the yearning, oh my goodness. And like, I have been a yearner since I have been little. Since Ashley, 10 years old, on MSN, yearning for my crush to be online and to like pop up and message me. So any show that betrays yearning in that way, I'm gonna be locked in and obsessed with it. But do you know what's interesting? I think it was an interview with Jacob Elordi, and he was kind of saying like, oh, like, I don't think what was his exact wordings? Okay, don't quote me on this exact wording, but I think he said he thinks that we shouldn't be yearning as much because we should just tell people how we feel and, be honest with our feelings. And to that, Jacob, I agree. But like, I still need to yearn. I must, I must, I must. And maybe it's a toxic trait, but I don't want to be honest about my feelings. I want to yearn in private and I want to yearn in secret and I want to keep it in the vault. And like, eventually, of course, like the people I love, I will tell them I love them, etc. But I'm talking about crushes, and there is just nothing like a crush when you, especially as a teenager or even like as an adult, like a crush will get you through the working day. So I personally will always be an advocate for a yearn whatever you need, especially if it's not hurting anyone. But okay, going from yearning, I want to take us from yearning all the way to nemesis is close. Because I think on my last solo episode was like, okay, right, people talk to me. Who's your nemesis? And I know I spoke about Jamie Oliver. Sorry about that, Jamie. Nothing personal. I've spoken about it before. You took away something I loved. You're now on my nemesis list. And I got some of the most funniest replies. Like, some of them were things that I guess I couldn't have expected, like postal services. We had like the Royal Mail, Every. I mean, Every has been, yeah, Every's on the list because the way they will get your parcel, they shut their eyes And I think they swing it around and they throw. And if it lands on your doorstep, it lands on your doorstep. If not, it's lost to the system and they've never heard of it and it wasn't them. That's just my hot take. But what really made me laugh is a lot of people were telling me about their nemesises from their like personal life. And like some of them were like, oh, my like 45-year-old housemate who does not know he's my nemesis, but he's my nemesis. Or there was one where someone messaged me and said, like, oh, someone wronged my brother like years and years ago. And now I just report their Instagram posts like very sporadically, very randomly, with hopes that eventually I'm going to get their Instagram banned. And like some of them were so funny. And I just didn't expect it. Like I guess I was expecting like pop culture examples or, random like funny things, but not actual like enemies from our real lives. And some of them were, from the playground. And it just was so funny. It really made me laugh. It really made me laugh. And like some of them was back from like childhood, like the playground. And I was like, once you have a nemesis, they're a nemesis pretty much for life. And my DMs in the comments really made me double down on that fact. But my nemesis that has been awarded for this episode has to be Every, because they have made an enemy of so many people that they have to be on the list. I'm sorry. And it's got nothing to do with the individual people themselves. Okay? A job's a job. And I respect every single job there is out there. But listen, there's something about the system of Every that I just think they don't want you to get your parcels. I think there are tiny, like pixie people that are like moving it like a kind of like an evil elf on the shelf or something. Because someone's intervening with these parcels because there's no way that these, the delivery people and what actually actually happened. There's such a big kind of differentiation. Don't quote me on that word. So Every, you win. You're the nemesis of the people. Please, can you just deliver our parcels for us? Because we're struggling out here. We are. And if you could just open your eyes and not throw it, we'd love that. Okay, so I would now like to go into what I'm kind of doing for the plot, but what I actually accidentally did for the plot. So I'm going ahhing actually about whether I wanted to tell this story on the podcast, mainly because I'm a little bit scared about the ramifications of it, but I feel like it's too funny not to share. So I'm going to be very careful. I'm going to change a few details. But what I accidentally did for the plot was it was a very long time ago now. I was only 18. I was a baby and I accidentally joined a cult for a day. So I'm just going to let that land. I accidentally joined a cult for the day and I was not in the UK. I was away in a undisclosed country, waiting with a friend, waiting for our hostel to be ready, our rooms to be ready. And we're just walking the street and there was this showroom that was doing an offer for something and we had time to spare. So we went inside this, this very white building, looked beautiful, very inviting, gave us drinks and we did a quiz. And at the end of the quiz, they talk to you about, the results of your quiz. And I had this guy talk to me and he's telling me all the things I want to hear. And bear in mind, I was very naive at 18. I need to make that very clear. And I always look for the good in people. I'm always thinking of the best case scenario. A lot of the time, I'm a very optimistic person. So I'm not thinking, and also I'd never heard of this cult before. I want to make that very clear. So anyway, he was talking to me about my quiz. My friend is having someone else talk to him about their quiz. And I'm being heard, I'm being seen. I'm thinking, yeah, you get it. Yes, you get it. He's gassing me up. And then next thing I know, I have another person talk to me. My friend had just one single person. I had a second person come and talk to me. And this is where I need to be honest and say, I do believe I was hypnotized. And believe it or not, but like, it's the only explanation that I can give to why I reacted in this way. So basically, the second man talks to me, and the only way I can describe it is like it was a complete blur, and I just felt very agreeable. And next thing you know, I'm in the basement having a meal, which has like meat, veg, and like potatoes all separate, almost like a kid's plate, separate, nothing touching in separate little compartments in one tray. And there's like everyone's in white and there's like families walking around. I remember being like, what's but at this point I wasn't like what's going on. I remember just being like in a daze, like la da da da. Anyway, next thing you know, I'm in like a lecture hall, not a lecture hall, but like a big room being giving a PowerPoint presentation about my life and my potential and what I can do and da da and joining them and da da. And then it's probably I want to say 45 minutes into this PowerPoint presentation that like something clicks and I'm like, where am I? And what is going on? And that is why I do truly believe I was hypnotized, because I remember thinking, this is so weird. I need to get out of here. So I continued to listen to this PowerPoint presentation. I look at the time. I've been in this building for almost 4 hours at this point, and I do not remember where all this time has gone. I've given them money earlier in the day. So as soon as I left, we finished. My friend was watching these weird movies in this like weird room waiting for me because I'd gone down to the next level. I dread to think how much data I gave to these people back in the day. I mean, nothing will be the same anymore. My life has changed so much, but like I do dread to think. And I remember leaving and I looked at my friend, also Michelle, and I I said, "Oh, I think I've signed up to something." And I called my mum in tears, like, "I've given them money." And I was being so careful with my money. And I don't even remember what I gave them money for. And like, I was, I went to Sephora and didn't buy a thing. And like, if you know me, you know I am a shopaholic. So like, it was really out of character for me at this time to just randomly give someone I don't know money as well. Do you know what I mean? Which is why I'm doubling down on this hypnotize thing. Anyway, I call my mum in tears and I tell her what this cult is called, and she goes, "Oh God," she's heard of it. And she was like, "Ashley, that's a cult, and you just signed up to a cult." And I was like, "I'm so sorry. Like, I've given them all my details." Anyway, long story short, I continued to receive letters, handwritten letters, some of them, from this cult. It was not in this country. It was like a 7, 8 hour, 9 hour plane ride from home. So they would send letters all that way to my home address for the coming 2 to 3 years. And it got to a point where my mum had to call them up and say, if you do not stop contacting my daughter, like da da da. Da." So obviously, I miss my mum so much. Um, Thank you to her. Want to shout out to my mum for getting me out of that cult, because I think because I no longer contacted them, I think I was only really in it for that day, but they were trying to get me back. I don't really know. And honestly, I've tried to block it out. But that is something I did for the plot, is I did accidentally join a cult. And I would say 0 out of 10 wouldn't recommend. Really be aware of your surroundings, guys. And if people are being so nice and they're talking about your development, but they don't know you, just be wary. And if they're charming, a lot of charmers normally run codes. So, lesson learned. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite me. But yeah, honestly, I just feel like I was lucky that nothing worse happened. And I'm so glad that I've got some street smarts now. But like, it could have been a near-death experience. And to be fair, I have had a few other near-death experiences. Okay, very quick, I'll tell about my near-death experience that I had a few years ago, where I was working on a film job, driving a lot on a motorway. I think I had an old Nissan Micra, and I'm driving back, and then I just hear like this bang, and it's like the car's and I'm like, oh my God, my tires burst. And it's happened to me once before, so I knew the feeling of it. But because unfortunately I am a girl racer, I was in the fast lane. And I don't know if a lot of people have driven on the UK motorways. They've now turned a lot of them into smart motorways. So they just thought, we don't need a hard shoulder. We don't need it. Why would we need a hard shoulder for people to pull onto? No, no, no. They said, let's add another lane so that, there's more traffic can go through, and we'll just shut the lane off, a live lane, shut it off, and just tell people they, need to change or slow down as it's happening, and just they have loads of cameras, which in theory is great if people weren't like, people like myself weren't idiots and were just like, oh no, I don't know. I'm not, I do abide by the rules. I want to say the rules of the road, but like occasionally you can't, they'll shut a lane. It's not actually shut, or people will wait, too long to change into the next lanes, whatever. So I'm thinking like, there's no hard shoulder. My tires burst. It's dark. I'm by myself. So I'm like literally skimming on what is left of this tire, trying to move, and I can see there's like emergency bays still there, like which are literally two spaces max. It's not a proper hard shoulder, and they're not. They're every 10 to 15 minutes. So I saw one up ahead and I thought, if I miss this, that's it. So I tried to time it so I make it, and I just miss it. And I was so scared to just stop my car in a live lane, especially because my car is so small, and like lorries, they're going so fast. Da, da, da. So I, in my fight or flight brain, think, I know, I'm just going to reverse into it. So I've passed this space. I want to bear in mind, this is a live lane. It wasn't that busy. There was like a small gap behind me where there was no car. There, lots of cars next to me over here, but not in the slow lane at this point. So I have the genius idea to Fast and Furious reverse back into the emergency lane on a live motorway. To this day, I know I have a guardian angel, because to this day, I don't know how I did not die, because I missed a car by minutes, and it was, I don't know. I honestly like weighed up, like, is it safer to just stop myself, put my hands on in my tracks in a live lane, or is it safer, because I'd missed it by inches, to just quickly reverse into the emergency lane? And I decided to reverse into this emergency lane. And listen, I made it. Should I be a stunt driver? Maybe. But do not try this at home. That is something I should really say. Don't try it at home. It was stupid. It was dangerous. I was very, whatever. Just don't try it at home. But do you know what? Like, it really made me believe in guardian angels. And I really do believe that it was my mum at that time. And, talking about mothers, listen, I need to get a pet peeve off of my chest, because Mother's Day is coming up. It's next, I think when this comes out, it'll be next Sunday. Listen, I want to start this off by saying I'm not a hater of Mother's Day, okay? But if you had a trauma or a wound, and every time you went to a supermarket, that wound was on a banner with flowers and bright colors, it wouldn't be a good day for you. And that is what I feel every time I see a Mother's Day banner, mug thing, what you're going to get her for Mother's Day. Get just for you, get this for It's relentless. It's in your face everywhere you go. And it's so exhausting. It's so exhausting in bright colors. It makes me feel literally crazy. And it's like the algorithm knows, because I get these ads that are like, don't wait, don't leave it too late. Like, write down all the memories about your mum, get these stories. And I'm like, are you trying? Are you trying to take me out? It's already too late. So Mother's Day is not my favorite time of year. And it does just feel like when you're in the supermarket or whatever shop there is, it's just like a death by 1,000 paper cuts, because it's like, mum, mother, And it's like, we get it. We get it that some of you have mums out there. And I'm not trying to be better, but I am a little bit. And I am very grateful that I had mine for as long as I did. And listen, there's so many reasons, and there's so many reasons that people don't have mums, and it's not just because they've lost them. Sometimes people don't have a good relationship with their mums, or they haven't shown up, or they never had one. The way families look so different. Some people just don't have them, full stop. And I know that I'm not alone in feeling a lot of pain around that time, but it's just too much. I get it, capitalism, get your money, but I just need us to tone it down. And, and I made a TikTok about this actually. Not only do we need to tone it down just a touch, but we need to consolidate it to one day, because there are so many different Mother's Days and I'm over it. We have UK Mother's Day, there's US Mother's Day, there's Spanish Mother's Day, there's Polish Mother's Day. I'm pretty sure there's like South Asian Mother's Day. I mean, I don't think South Asian Mother's Day is a thing. I think there's just different different Mother's Days and different for different countries. But like, I'm pretty sure there's eight different Mother's Days. Don't quote me on that. But there's definitely more than 5. And I just need them to consolidate it to one day, and then I'll get over it. But it's too much. And I'm sure, it's a club that many people were a part of. And I think it's the same probably for Father's Day as well, where it's just so in your face. And I know that there is a huge group of us and club of us that have lost our parents. And I know I'm not alone. And if you're listening to this and you've lost a parent, I want you to know that you're not alone. And like, honestly, fuck those days at the end of the day. Unless you want to celebrate it and honor them, then don't fuck those days. It's beautiful. But if you just want to ignore it and pretend that it doesn't exist, that's also okay. And I don't know. I didn't realize how the world is not always set up for. The world just does keep going. It doesn't, and it's not even a personal thing, but it doesn't necessarily give a lot of space or grace always once you've, passed a certain point of grieving. It's kind of just like expected that you keep going. So I think, hold on to the people that love you, reach out, join a support group, talk to people, because it's not easy. And if this Mother's Day is not easy for you because you have a difficult relationship, or you don't have a relationship, or you don't have one, then you have people that love you. And I hope that me talking about it, eases that a little bit, that you're not the only one that gets pissed off about it. I'm going to finish this episode off with a hear me out. How I came about this hear me out was I was watching Cheaper by the Dozen. I don't know if anyone's seen that. I don't know why I'm acting like, oh, it's such a like obscure movie. Like, oh, I don't know if anyone's seen it. Of course, I'm sure most people have seen it. It is the movie that made me think I wanted 12 kids. It made me think I wanted like a jam sandwich station, chaos. And like now I understand what giving birth actually is like and how expensive kids are. I'm like, 12 kids is crazy, I will be happy with just 2 or 3. But like at the time, I was obsessed with Cheaper by the Dozen, and I rewatched it. It's so nostalgic. After I watched it, I was just looking up the reviews and things like that. And it literally, let me have a look on here, what it was rated on Rotten Tomatoes by the critics, because I was shocked. 25% on Rotten Tomatoes. I said, for a classic like that, 25%. Steve Martin. Are you joking? Crazy work. And then I went into a bit of a rabbit hole of like, oh, what other movies are scored like below 50% on Rotten Tomatoes by the critics do I love? And that's what led me to hear me out, badly rated movies that I think hit. So I'm going to start off with a slightly higher one, Hook. Hook, I think I've already spoke about it on my episode with Daph. Hook is one of my favorite movies growing up. I would watch it on repeat when I was younger. 37% on Rotten Tomatoes. They've lost their goddamn minds. They must have at the time. Because Julia Roberts as Tinkerbell, Robin Williams. Crazy. Steven Spielberg, like, they're crazy. These critics, they're crazy. I don't know. I don't know what they saw, but they weren't watching it. The next one, and I need you to hear me out, because I am someone that loves to watch such a wide, eclectic taste of movies, okay? And I have such a capacity to enjoy like, I will enjoy a movie like Fight Club and find it, moving and profound and interesting. At the same time, I'll also enjoy watching Alvin and the Chipmunks. And Alvin and the Chipmunks is, in fact, the next one that came up. And that one, honestly, I'm pretty sure higher than Cheaper Than by the Dozen, which was 28%. I mean, to be fair, their version of The Witch Doctor, I will double down on this until I die. Their version of The Witch Doctor is the best. Better than the original. But like, I don't know. I would like to live in a world where I do not have my my taste in film card taken away from me because I enjoy Fight Club and I enjoy Alvin and the Chipmunks. I'm sorry, but those cunty little jumpers is the best. And I'm sorry. Hear me out. Alvin and the Chipmunks. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. Or maybe it was at the time. Maybe I have horrible taste in movies, whatever. It's my opinion. And I love those sassy little jumpers and those little cute high voices. The next one, honestly, like, and again, I was maybe 13 or 14 at the time when I watched this movie. And I remember watching it in the cinema, Grown Ups, I think Adam Sandler. I thought it was hilarious. And then I looked it up, 10% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, that's really low, like so low. And like, maybe the jokes are dicey. I'm not saying it's an incredible movie, but 10% seems so harsh. So I don't know. I'm not sure. And then the last one, which I was so surprised about, and I'm not saying every joke has aged amazingly well, but it's such a classic, and I just don't think anyone could ever make me not like it. White Chicks, the Wayne brothers, like, so good, so funny. 15% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm starting to think that some of these film critics just don't want to have a good time. They don't want to listen to little chipmunks and sassy jumpers. They don't want to see the Wayne brothers dressing up as white chicks and having dance battles. And they don't want to be, watching a movie where they have really toxic diet culture, apparently. And they certainly don't want to see Julia Roberts as Tinkerbell. And listen, it's your opinion. It's okay. But my hear me out. I think they are all have their place as a movie. And like, I don't think you always need to watch a movie to be moved. I want to be moved half of the time, and the other half of the time I want to be entertained and I want to escape, especially when we're going through really tough times in life. I think sometimes it's okay to enjoy a movie because you just want to escape. And that is where I'm coming from. So they were my hear me outs, movies under 50% that I personally enjoy. I don't know which one's my favorite one. It may have to be Alvin and the Chipmunks. I don't know. No, it has to be Hook. But Alvin and the Chipmunks is definitely a close second. Okay, well, that is everything from me. Thank you for listening to my ramblings, my brain. Thank you for sticking with. I know we go down so many different rabbit holes. I don't always finish my sentences. It's all fun and games. But I really do appreciate you being here with me. I love, 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 love doing this podcast. I love speaking to people. I have some really exciting guests coming up over the next few months. So I'd really appreciate it if you could like this podcast, subscribe to it, give it a few little comments on there because it really helps me. It helps me get more people in and it helps me then get bigger, hopefully funner guests that I can bounce off. I love you. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your week and enjoy your goddamn Mother's Days.